All right, and it's time for our conversation this evening right here on Crossfire. Remember, you can be part of our conversation by tweeting me at Sophia Wanuna. The hashtag is Crossfire. A lot of politics to discuss. A lot has been happening. Political realignments already. Many are saying that election cycle, as much as we are more than a year away to the general election, is already full-blown in as far as activities in the political landscape. My guest this evening here in studio with me on my immediate left is the Eldas Member of Parliament, Dr. Aidan Kane, and he's also the Secretary Jubilee Joint Parliamentary Group, or PG if you like. We also have Gladys Boss, who's the Uasin Gishu Women Rep, and Tom Joseph Kajwang, who's the Ruaraka MP. I'm sad to say the full name just in case someone didn't know. TJ Kajwang. What is a TJ? So there you have it. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you for being with us tonight here on Crossfire. And I want to begin with you, Dr. Harry, because your position as Secretary, Jubilee Joint PG, your party in recent months has been seen as one that only disciplinary action happens. It's de-whipping members, it is even a warning to the DP, the Deputy President and Deputy Party Leader, for an eviction party, and several have been ejected or expelled from the party. So isn't that, before we get into the politics of the day, an indictment on the leadership which you're part of, that it's all about disciplinary action?
Not really. Jubilee is a party, and any party must have disciplinary mechanism. And therefore, as a movement, it's just like a commitment, it's just like a marriage. You must commit to the rules, the procedures, and the principles that is part of that organizational structure. And therefore, what you see, some people might call it disciplinary issues, but I think it's part of the party mechanism.
But that's all we see, sir. So we don't see the PG for which you should be ensuring.
No, the only bit that you see is there's so much news on the disciplinary issue because they are isolated cases, but the party has when was the last PG? We do meet every day. There are caucuses. We do not have to announce. I think PGs are just associated with the general meetings that are called by the party, the head of the party. No, there are caucuses every day, and that is the essence of actually my office. And that's the essence of actually a parliament, parliament within a presidential system. So there are caucuses, there are meetings every day. We do not have to announce, and that is what forms actually the parliamentary agenda.
And yet many who have who are in UDA today, and I'll bring this to you, TJ, have said, there's now UDA because when it comes down to Jubilee, it's not a party anymore. In fact, the deputy president, the deputy party leader, has lauded ODM and said ODM is one real proper national party. So perhaps what advice do you have? What advice do you have?
That's an insult. To be honest,
that's what he said.
No, of course, we can't. Everybody has the right to say whatever you want to say because the democratic space within our country allows you to say within the confines of the law.
Yes.
But honestly speaking, Jubilee is the biggest party in Kenya. Of course, ODM is second, and there may be other parties. But I think there's one thing that many Kenyans don't understand. Since the advent of multipartyism, look at all the successive general elections. There has been different denominators.
Okay.
In those particular general elections. If you look at 1992, 1997, 2002, 2007, 2013, 2017, and equally 2022, the dynamics will be completely different. And this is because Kenya generally is a tribal society.
And yet the ODM party holds. What is the secret?
Well, Sophie, I don't want to take pride on it, although I have bragging rights. Nobody disputes that ODM is the oldest party. Of course...
I thought the oldest party was KANU.
Well, yes, but in terms of functional, organic party, I think nobody disputes that. We have systems which run so seamlessly. We have organs that meet regularly, functional from the grassroots to the last organ of the party.
Even when they've pulled pranks?
Well, we pull pranks because we have systems. We have systems, the heartbeat moves about. UDA is a nascent one. It's a kid, it's an embryo forming, and we are waiting to see how the child will behave when it is out of the mom. But to be fair to Jubilee, it has its ways, although its ways may not be agreeable to everyone. but it has its ways that it functions. You see, of course, you know, Kenyans like postulating things. They want to see, so after this, what will happen? But as it is presently, you then see that actions can be taken. Policy issues are taken. Those policy issues are influenced by caucuses or parliamentary arrangements or even people who are outside the party. When you see a disciplinary process being taken, you must assume that there has been some other processes that have, you know, influenced it to there. So, well, I wouldn't talk for Jubilee. I don't want to know anything around the Jubilee, but I can tell you about ODM. That it is the biggest party from, is that Magadi to Lokitan? Is that Kadem to Turkana? That's ODM for you.
Madam Boss, I wonder what your thoughts are on these parties and what they stand for.
Truth be told, Jubilee is a shell. It only exists in name as a party. It is a party that has shown that it is intolerant to any dissenting views, that it will not accept any criticism, and that anyone who holds a dissenting view from a few people in the center of Jubilee will be disciplined. And not just disciplined in accordance to the Constitution of Jubilee, but illegally and in contravention, not only in contravention of the Jubilee Constitution, but also in contravention of the Constitution of Kenya. Jubilee has revealed that it is more keen to kick people out of Jubilee than to get more people to come into Jubilee. I was de-whipped for holding a dissenting view from the center. New people were appointed without any consultation with any members of Jubilee. I can help Commissioner here, whom I respect very highly, that actually the position that he claims to hold of Jubilee PG Secretary does not exist in the Jubilee Constitution, and I dare him to tell me which page that in the Constitution that office has been created. It's non-existent. It was an office that was created when there was an onslaught removing anyone who had dissenting views, when they removed people like Cecil Mbarire, Washiali, myself, Kimani Ichung'wah, etc., from various leadership positions in the House. Correction, Jubilee has had only 2 parliamentary groups meetings since caucuses. 2017. The caucuses, I'm surprised that someone as active as myself in Parliament has not even been invited to those caucuses. So if they exist, they are secret meetings that are held by a few. That is the reality. Jubilee existed the time when Aden Duale was leader of majority. That is when we had consultations. He would let us know when there was a party position and so on. That hasn't happened since then. And that is why when you see a party like UDA forming and people like me paying attention to it, it's because we realize that the writing is on the wall. Jubilee has told us that unless you shut up and follow like donkeys, whatever one person or 2 people in the party say, we will kick you out. And therefore, everyone is beginning to look for other spaces that we can go to. People who believe in the same ideals and the things that we have raised that are wrong with this country, that we need a place where we can voice.
But yet not officially moving to those spaces.
We're not officially moving to those spaces. But remember, we are only 13 months from the elections. By February next year, February the 9th, people will be allowed to shift to other parties. So let me tell you, Jubilee will be left with no one. And you can see what Jubilee is doing at the moment. They are targeting soft targets, the nominated members of Parliament. If they think they are a very strong party, I dare you to discipline the 179 of us who are elected members and send us to a by-election.
Or at least
Jubilee
follow
will
through.
come back without a single member at all. Send us
and
to a
before we degenerate into Jubilee politics and you become an observer of this, but a quick one on that.
But I do agree that ODM is the only one doing well.
No, I think let's call a spade a spade.
That your position does not exist?
No, absolutely. I think Gladys Sholay should get a copy of the Jubilee Party Constitution,
No,
and I think that is the big... Yes, look at the party structure.
No,
look at
page what?
Look, I can tell you.
I can look for it on my
look
phone.
at it. Look at section 12. See the Constitution.
Let me look
the
for
party,
it.
because it's like
Section 12.
the reason why you are not subscribing to the party constitution is because from the time when you joined politics, you didn't clearly familiarize yourself with the party constitution. I want you to look at it.
It's going to be here in a minute.
Yeah, look
right.
at it. Secondly,
Secondly,
the issue of her saying the fact that certain members have left Jubilee or have expressed the desire to leave, that Jubilee is dead. Jubilee is dead. It's not true. Jubilee is a mass movement. And I want her to tell us these numbers only exist in books. Where are the 79 members? I'm a very senior member of parliament.
Yeah.
These 179 members only exist, I think, in the utopian world. We are yet to see them on voting. We yet to see them on parliamentary business.
We see them at the current mansion.
No, where? We need to see that number. Where is the number? And I challenge her and her friends to come to the floor.
So let me ask you this.
Let me just say
a direct question.
Ask your director to show the picture when we were in Karen and we were over 200 members of parliament.
Let me finish this.
Let me moderate this discussion,
okay.
please. A direct question to you, sir.
Okay.
That the vice chair has sat here, again you're in leadership, and talked about an eviction loading of the deputy president and that he will be impeached. So perhaps can you give us an update tonight so that we are just clear on this conversation?
I think let me not comment on that particular issue. It has been debated.
In the party leadership.
I don't think whether that will be the subject of discussion today. That issue has been deliberated by the party management committee.
In the caucuses?
No. They will make their own. You see, that is a very, very, very important issue. So when the time comes, the Kenyan public will be informed. But let me say this. The fact that certain individuals have expressed the desire to contest in other parties in the next general election does not make Jubilee a shell. I believe Jubilee is more stronger than ever before. And the reason is this. We need to understand our politics. We need to understand the dynamics of our politics. And for those, some of us who have been around, who have seen so many successive elections, I want to guide my sister and other newcomers actually to the Kenyan politics. What you are seeing is not real. It's just a, it's drama. So I take care of your ground. The issue of parties, look at your region, what happens. And slowly we are seeing the formation of regional parties, the formation of tribal parties. And I can tell you, Jubilee and few other parties will remain truly national parties that will aspire to bring Kenyans together.
All right.
As the first.
Let me bring in TJ and to move this conversation forward to a story, Rain, earlier. You were here, I bet you got to hear some of it. A meeting that happened earlier, the Deputy President, Governor Oparanya, and this coming at a time where recently, again, he had come out to say BBI is not a priority. Those funds should be channeled towards COVID containment and mitigation measures. So what is going on there from where you sit? This is a deputy party leader of ODM.
Well, I tell you, Sophie, you members of the Fourth Estate, you do what you are best at. You know, you put stories, sometimes you take them literally from our mouths, and you make issues out of them.
What have I taken from anyone's mouth? I have repeated what the deputy party leader
when somebody
said.
speaks,
yes.
You see, when somebody speaks, that person is a persona. And yet what he speaks is taken to be the position of an institution. That has been a bigger problem for political analysts in this country. That every time TJ speaks, I must be speaking, that is the voice of Ruaraka. I may be the leader of Ruaraka, but I may, not members of Ruaraka, not all of them may subscribe to what I think as an institution. So if I were just to respond directly, what Governor Oparanya may say or which meetings he goes to, that really is his way of doing things.
Really?
That is his personal things. Really, it does not bespeak. Well, I can tell you from where I sit.
Perception is powerful. You and I know that.
But again, you will know, Sophie.
That we know and imagine he's just a man randomly in the streets walking and doing
You can have
things.
enough faith that I speak, what I speak is shared by many members of ODM. If you cannot believe that, then you
Do you think he's about to ditch ODM?
No, that has no place. Oparanya
then how do you know that?
Well, I interact with him in terms of the party. We share ideas in terms of the party. He's my deputy party chair. I am a member and a very senior member of this party. And so, of course, it's a time where, as she says, it's about a year or so to an election. So there's a lot of activity and there's a lot of speculation around. And it is not a bad thing. So the gentleman goes to visit his friends.
Maybe he's the lead negotiator for Raila Odinga to test the waters with the deputy president.
No,
to
Raila
go and
Odinga
say...
would not look for a negotiator, at least if he needed one. I'm sure, I don't think that he would want to have his deputy, the first deputy, to go and negotiate for him. I would imagine that he will take small people like us, first of all, to test the water. So when you see small people like us testing the water, probably you may see some smoke.
Okay.
But I'm not so sure that it is Raila's strategy. We have seen him over the years from the 60s up to now. I don't think that one would easily think that that is his strategy to negotiate such an arrangement. So I really don't want to speak on behalf of Governor Oparanya. I'm not privy to what he said. But the truth of the matter is that I would know from where I sit.
But yet you don't know what I'm telling you what he said. He said it on on television.
Yes, but this guy is speaking about his personal things. He's a second term. He's finishing his term.
All right.
He's looking for opportunity. He's free. He's a free person.
So there you go. He's looking for an opportunity.
Oh, yes, he
and
should.
That opportunity could be outside ODM.
But that has nothing to do with ODM or Raila or anybody else, or TJ for that matter.
Let me bring it to Honorable Boss as we come to you, Mheshimiwa. What you read in this, I have put two direct questions to Mheshimiwa on whether he's true second-term governor, looking for political relevance after 2022. He cannot run again for governor. So is he seeing that his way of survival is outside ODM? Or is he part of those who are trying to see if Raila and Ruto can work together?
No, I think it would be dishonest of me to try and speculate on what went on in the meeting, because the facts are not within my knowledge. But I can speak to the character of the deputy president, that I know he has an open door policy, and he speaks to any Kenyan who cares to seek his audience, and that is his personality. So I don't see that Oparanya is not, that he would not see Oparanya if Oparanya has to see him.
Yeah.
Could I put it in context?
However, what's interesting is what he said, again, to take you back to the comment that BBI is not a priority and those funds should be channeled on fighting COVID. These are the exact same sentiments of the deputy president. So you see how people will link one and one together.
Let's put this. BBI is not a priority. And those are the sentiments of almost 90% of Kenyans. The only Kenyans who are interested in BBI are the 600 plus MPs who want positions, or the 5 top positions who want deputy prime minister, and so on. And those people who want to weaken the judiciary and ensure that we do not have democracy in this country. People who want to fill parliament with nominated MPs that Kenyans have not had a chance to choose. Those are so the sentiments that Oparanya has expressed, that I have expressed, the deputy president expressed, and many other like-minded Kenyans have expressed, is what Kenyans are saying. Think about what's happening now. People are dying of COVID. We are not rolling out the vaccine as efficiently as we want. We are not doing the testing as efficiently as we'd like to do. Our children in the 5 counties now are not going to school. Today, there were people who are telling you that their businesses have shut down. People have lost jobs. As at April last year, we had lost 1.7 million jobs. So when we think about the challenges that Kenyans have, believe me, they do not want to hear about this. Already 100,000 Kenyans have signed a petition to IMF saying that they do not want Kenya to borrow any more money. Recently, Kenyans are begging and asking that we borrowed 139 billion shillings from Canada. Is that the money that's going to be used on BBI? Because BBI requires 36 billion shillings per annum in order to be able to operationalize. Are we borrowing money to do that? Those are the questions Kenyans are asking. So people are concerned about the national debt. They're concerned about the economy. They're concerned that they can be able to put food on their table, and that they're able to raise their families, and that they're able to get medical care when someone does fall sick. That is what Kenyans care about. They don't want to hear about all these tribal coalitions that are going on in the country.
So, Honorable Kenan, what you read about on that meeting?
Let me go back to the issue of Oparanya before I come to the issue of BBI. I think we are in a season where the very basic definition of politics is the art of the possible. In the next few months, you are likely to see new formations, you are likely to see clamor for regional parties, you are likely to see different, and this has been the characteristics of Kenyan's parliamentary system. Because basically, it is tribal-oriented, it's tribal-centered, it's tribally placed. These are realities. As much as we may camouflage and say we have these democratic institutions, we look at the key components in each of the main even political parties, it's laden with certain realities based on regional strength or regional numerical strength. That is the case. So I am not be surprised. I don't want to speculate. I know Oparanya very well. We have served with him in Parliament.
So you'd not be surprised?
I will not be surprised if he was engaged in, if he was carrying a special message, if as a second-term governor, he's trying to find out a new political space for himself, or because of, you know, over the last 1 week, we have seen the emergence of certain political groupings, and I didn't see his name featuring somewhere. Maybe he's also trying to form a third group. So I don't want to speak for this.
Perhaps carrying a special message.
So this will come out. But then come back to the issue of BBI. I thought we were past what my good friend, my sister, is trying to bring back here. The issue of BBI has been on the agenda for quite some time. It has been a bit emotive because a constitutional making process is a very difficult exercise. I remember in 2010, we had challenges. Even the issue of the current constitution, August 2010, the one that we have, the last meeting in Naivasha is like, we lost hope. There was no hope until some good Kenyans actually had to wake up in the middle of the night, you know, bring people together and say, no, we can't leave Naivasha without having a new constitution. That is the way we got actually the current constitution. And when it was brought to Parliament, the issue was 10% or 20% of this document is legal. We'll get an opportunity to review it. Let's pass what is good, the 80%. That has been and then now
you want to pass the whole thing?
No, we have reviewed the 20% or the 10% which have considered legal in 2010, and there is nowhere in the world where you expect uniformity, whether you expect in constitutional matters. It will always be chronomious, the way we have seen right now. But I think one thing that I thought my sister here will appreciate is this document was subjected to the 47 county assemblies. And if you look at Article 1 of the Constitution, sovereignty, sovereignty of the Republic is
with the people.
Is with the people through the elected representatives.
And even MPs are the elected.
And even MPs are elected. So the members of the county assembly have made decision. Which county assembly, even areas where we are told is a stronghold of certain political groupings, actually we have been bragging that we will not get the requisite 24 county assembly. It ended up being almost a unanimous document, and I can bet. I'm not saying tonight that this document is 100% document because it's a man-made document. There will be faults, there will be lacunas, and this is why it's a constitution making process. It's not a static process, it's a very dynamic process.
I cannot allow, leave something undone. No, well.
So I think what my sister is saying right now here is, yes, there will be costs, but we need also to look at the opportunities that this document will bring. And Kenya is a democracy. It's a vibrant democracy. There will be issues. They have the right to voice their concerns,
Point has
but
been made.
Kenyans will make the ultimate decision, and I can bet this document will be passed by the majority of Kenyans in its current form.
Okay.
Well, let me just be fair. I mean, I must stand for my governor. He's my first deputy chairman.
Hold on, you said you don't know. You said you didn't know what was going on.
I don't want to leave this.
Has he texted?
I don't want to leave
he
this
had a bit of reflection.
No. I don't want to leave this woolly. I am speaking as a senior member of ODM. I can tell you that there is no special message that Oparanya has or has instructions to give anyone. I can tell you that. You see...
How do you know? How do you... Because before you said you don't know, maybe it's personal.
I would know. I'm in a position to know of an official position of ODM.
You know, the special message can be
just a minute. As my deputy chair, if he is speaking as deputy chair of ODM, I would know official messages that he would carry. I would know. And I'll tell you this. You must see the inconsistency of it. You said that he said, oh, BBI, the money should be challenged wherever, and that really sparked your nose, and you said something must be offing, right? But he is the first one, he's one amongst the first people who passed those things, I mean, in his county. It can be a big inconsistency.
Maybe he had a change of heart.
Well, the change of heart, if he did, I can assure you that if it is true that he changed his heart or that he's speaking another language, he will come out to public to explain exactly what his mission was. But I can tell you, you know, the other day, let me put it in context. The other day, Uhuru was talking to Kingi, And there was a lot of olabalu. Yeah? The other day he got Mvuria and said, oh, now he has left Kingi, now he has gone to court. Then the other day he brings Joho, and everybody's abuzz. This is politics. This is what we do every day.
Let me ask you.
But at the end of the day...
So you're agreeing that there's some politics.
Why didn't you ask me when Joho went? Do you know that Joho is also my first deputy? He's a vice deputy.
And those two deputies were not invited to the current residents' meeting when we saw all of these leaders come to make a statement that clarified they were fully behind BBI.
Let me tell you,
Hold
Sophie.
on, I've not even landed. Yeah. A day after Oparanya comes out and says BBI is not a priority, there was that meeting at party leaders' home, and they were all there. The two deputy party leaders were not there.
I'm telling you, bluntly, let me put it bluntly, that William Ruto is in no capacity to officially reapproach ODM. He can do whatever it is they do. But you see, this current home has been demonized for a lot of things. Anytime nowadays I fear passing that road, because somebody may film me and may say that Kajwang was seen walking there, may have had some message to pass. But look, but I accept, yes, this is politics. Yeah. People are free to speak. Yeah. And I'm sure they must have spoken things which are concerning this nation. But I tell you that it is a good thing for us to have coalitions, understanding amongst parties, because Kenya is a very fractious society, if you wish. You know, there are shades of opinion. It is a multi-party democracy. And if this, and then tribe is a fact. We must not put this under the table. Tribe is a big element in Kenya, and any politician who does not arrest it and work with it does not know politics. So
then let me advance that point with you, Honorable Boss, on tribe is a factor and how the mathematics and numbers of crossing the finish line in 2022 come into play. There's been concern that there's no natural successor leader in the Mount Kenya region, which is a rich basket in terms of votes and who the president supports. So that on one hand, a hand of his is seen in, of course, handshake and supporting the former prime minister. On the other, there's the One Kenya Alliance, and that almost a very delicate balancing act.
I'm very happy that they have vindicated what I have always said. He's talked about tribes. And he also mentioned tribes. If you look at in this conversation today, the tribe is something we must take into effect. Tribe is something we must take into effect. My position, and those like-minded leaders in Kenya and like-minded Kenyans, that is people who are members of the Hustler movement, don't believe in tribe. We believe in one Kenya where everybody's...
Then join the One Kenya Alliance. Join the One Kenya Alliance.
The One Kenya Alliance, let me explain to you. The One Kenya Alliance, the people I think are calling it the Sarala Coalition. What they're doing is they are trying to counter Raila. So you get Mudavadi and his other tribal kingpins trying to create tribal alliances and cocoons to be able to counter Raila. That's what they're trying to do. Raila, on the other side, what he's doing, he's decided to quote Kivutha Kibwana to replace Kalonzo, another tribal kingpin. He has decided to quote, I think, Wetangula, Muhisa, so that he can counter Wetangula and Mudavadi. Then he has tried to quote Gideon, so that Gideon can try and counter the Rift Valley, that is William Ruto. So you can see their whole thinking and machinations around the politics of Kenya is around tribal cocoons. What we are saying is that the Hustler movement cuts across the country. It is about making sure that every Kenyan can have a livable wage, that every Kenyan can be able to take their children to school, that every Kenyan has to be supported to be able to grow the economy, no matter how small the work that they're doing. That is what we are concerned about. That is the Kenya we are thinking about. And you can see, and that is why you find that the Hustler movement and UDA is actually cuts across from central Kenya to Rift Valley to western Kenya and Ukambani, everywhere in Kenya. And you see these tribal kingpins that are making formations and who are creating positions for themselves in BBI are actually waiting for Uhuru Kenyatta to hand over Central Kenya to them or somebody to endorse them. They are waiting to be given something. They are not hitting the road like William Ruto is and going to beg Kenyans and giving them to inspire them to support him.
So
that
let me
is
ask
what they
you
should
this.
be doing, but not sitting. In fact, if you look at their pictures, you don't see them going out to Wananchi.
Question.
You see them sitting in a garden in their homes, chatting among themselves,
Direct
hoping that
question.
somebody is going to drop the cake on their hand.
A quick question.
And that is why we are calling them the Starlight Alliance. They are spoon-fed babies who are expecting something to be given to them.
So question then.
And so Kenyans don't believe in tribal alliances. I refuse to. In fact, I'm offended that I have to say the word
Allow
tribe.
me to jump
Yes.
in and put this and briefly. So
These
in your
two
view,
tribal kingpins here.
okay, to the tribal kingpins as you're calling, they will get to defend and rejoinder. But then are you saying William Ruto will not seek an alliance and that he can cross the 50+1 mark by himself? Because you may call them tribal kingpins, but the realities of our politics in the years past have been such that each region brings this and each individual. So to that point, are you saying he's not seeking to form alliances with those that have been seen to have huge support in various regions?
We will form alliances, and I know that he's,
Will then
he's,
they
he's
be
a
the
brilliant
leaders?
enough... No, hold on. He's a brilliant enough politician, and many of us believe that you can form alliances based on ideology, not based on
What about
tribe.
numbers? It's numbers that cross to the finish line.
No, but then you will find that there will be people who will let us base it on ideology. Because if you think about it, and I mean, let's not kid yourselves. You've seen the Hustler movement is based on ideology, it's not based on tribe.
All right.
And that is why it cuts across the country.
All right.
And that is where we are going. We want to talk about what is it you'll bring to the table. What will you change in the lives of Kenyans?
All right.
That is our discussion.
Honorable Kenan.
Not tribes.
Yes, I think it's good to be realistic. Kenya consists of many nation states. We have the Somali nation, we have the Luo nation, the Kalenjin nation, and I really appreciate the way Mzee Moi struggled to put together all the different Kalenjin sub-ethnic groups to appear as one united Kalenjin group, and I'm sure that took over 24 years. We have the Luo nation. That's the reality. That's why in the just concluded by-elections, if truly what you are saying is true, you will have had an opportunity to field a candidate just by virtue of being a member of your Hasala movement. You went to Matungu, you had to look for a Luya from that particular area. You went to London, you had to look for somebody from that particular area. You had to go to Mombasa Coast, you had to look for somebody. That is the true face of the Republic of Kenya. But I think for me, I somehow agree with you. Ultimately, it should be our desire to have one united, republic called Kenya, where each one of us actually will identify himself or herself with being a Kenyan without, giving much weight to our tribal groupings. But the reality right now is, and you can ask anybody, and this is where we are, and this is even the trend. You can call it any name. You can call it a movement. You can call it Hasala. You can call it a tribe. You can call it region. These are the realities in Kenyan politics. And anybody who wants to wish away this, I can predict, just like it happened in the recent by-elections, that you will be living in your own utopian world. Utopian world, and this is my definition. Politics is about practicalities. Politics is about realities. Politics is about the public opinion. Right. The public opinion right now is, and I don't see why somebody will say there's vacuum in Mount Kenya. No, Mount Kenya has able leadership. And who says President Kenyatta? Who? President Kenyatta and many other leaders.
Well, he's exiting.
No. I think it is wrong.
He's president.
He will retire as the president of the Republic of Kenya. He will still be the leader of Jubilee. He will still be a key opinion leader. And there are many other opinion leaders in Mount. So I think it is wrong to assume.
Hold on.
It's wrong to assume.
You will come back to you.
It is wrong to assume that Mount Kenya does. And it's also wrong to assume that the people of Mount Kenya do not think for themselves. They will think for themselves.
Correct.
Make an informed decision. And that is what they have always done. So and therefore, anybody assuming that they will be headed into a corner, coerced, and the way some people in the Hassel or whatever court think, no, it is not. Allow Kenyans to make an informed decision. And two, she made a very important statement. The fact that one person believes in running around and going for press conferences does not make that particular person popular with the Kenyans. Each party has its own platform, has its own modus operandi, has its own way of doing things, and that also must be respected. When ODM does, they have their own constitution, they have their own platform. When we as Jubilee decide to do things, we look at the timing, we look at the relevance, we look at the opportunity, and we strike when we know it's relevant. Right. But it's not our work to, to run around, yap around, pretend to be so popular, and yet at the end of the day, when voting comes,
all right.
we are the last.
Let me hold on. I will, because I want to give Honorable Kajwang has been quiet for some time.
He'll allow me.
We will come. He has refused to be. He's a gentleman. He has refused on that one. But the meeting recently, Muhisa, Kitui, Kingi, you had the likes of Orengo, the Ukambani governors coming together, and they're emerging then a narrative that perhaps this, because of Orengo being there and the likes of Kingi, that perhaps this is who Raila is seeking to team up with. And so the question becomes, of course, for the governors, and you mentioned it, largely are looking what next after next year when they can't run for office again. But do the people have mentioned if he were to form a coalition with them? Even remember at the time when NASA was really having the back and forth, and then he took this picture with Muhisa and Kivutha Kibwana and, you know, and Orengo as well, saying this is almost who I will then go back to. Question again becomes, but can they bring the numbers home?
First of all, let me quickly dispose of this issue, and then I'll come back. Yeah. You know, I listen to my sister here, and I look at myself in the mirror. I used to speak the way she does, because she finds herself, it is the kind of thing that, you know, that passion.
When you were first elected.
You see,
I have always been a passionate person, not just in parliament, in every single job I've held.
You speak that
so that
way.
Is me.
That is true.
Well,
all right.
You speak that way when you are climbing.
I've always spoken like that.
You see, I'm a practical politician.
Maybe he's saying later you will not.
I'm a practical politician.
I've done that since I was 16.
And Sophie, you know I shoot straight. Tribe in Kenya is a profile you must expect if you want to be a politician. If you don't want, you'll be very naive. To suggest this thing, big names, big things we are hearing about hustler, you know, cutting across, everybody is, if you are talking about the have-nots, Kenya here have more have-nots than those people who have been profiled to be have-nots.
That's true.
Okay? And it runs across everywhere. If you want to have the haves, they are a cocoon. And some of those people who are talking about those haves are those hustlers are the haves themselves. So only a naive politician will wish away tribe. Tribe is a good thing, by the way. Tribe is historical. The only thing is if you use ethnicity to divide people, that's another matter.
Negative ethnicity.
But if you are a student of history, you will know, as my brother is saying, you will know issues of how we migrated in this piece of geographical world called Kenya. It's not a homogeneous society. And you cannot bring people to start thinking just because some people have, do not have economic, you know, the wherewithal. So you think that they are going to create a new tribe called hustler.
But can I counter that briefly with a question?
But
I will go back to, you will answer my original question.
You'll give me the time to?
I will.
Okay, thank you.
But to that point, then why not have a counter narrative to her point that they've chosen not to be in this tribe thing and there's the hustler narrative? Why not then create also a counter narrative? Is it in politics, the poverty of ideology that leads us largely to dwell on tribe?
Which is okay. Just a minute. I will answer that. Learning, every curve in life is a learning curve. I would want to wait that day on the debe when this hustler narrative, and I will want to see from that debe if it can show that people are voting because they have or that they don't have. I'll wait to see, not in Kenya.
All right.
But, people can say things. We also said a lot of things in our manifestos. Only
and you didn't do them.
Half of them were theoretical. Just a few of them were practical.
So you're telling Kenyans you are lying in the manifesto?
Kenyans know us. Just if you allow me, I want to answer the question that you asked me.
Yes.
Right? About so many individuals that you have seen visiting each other and have been in places and so on. First of all, you see, we have in ODM, we have practiced a very open democracy. And you have seen us meet people whom you would wonder, so why is he meeting those people? We have said so. Even if you talk about Raila Odinga, you've seen Raila Odinga say Tosha many times, and people were like, what? You mean he could do that? Even this handshake we are talking about, nobody expected this handshake, and he did it. So the point I'm making is, if you just allowed me, the point I am making is, at this point in time, you will see a lot of people consulting. That does not mean that this is now a new information that Muhisa Kitui now is bringing the lawyers on board, that Kibuta Kibwana has canvas in his bag and is now hawking them and bringing them to us. No, it doesn't mean so. But it means that we are exposing ourselves to Kenyans, that we are free to take all ideas that there are. And look, if we were to look for alliances, if we were to look for alliances, that is not the way we will do them, and you know it. We'll do them
and
in a very different way.
And we are a long way from the election. You have, I imagine, very many points you want to make. So I'm not even asking.
Sophia, I think I'm going to give you a stopwatch because you're letting TJ go on, and you know he's a lawyer. He can talk forever. He's like me. Anyway,
go ahead.
First of all, I want to correct something that's very important. The hustler movement is not about the have and have-nots. Okay? That story of have and have-nots was started by Mutahi Ngunyi in his YouTube videos. So leave it at that. The hustler movement is about an ideology that we are saying we want to make sure that the next leadership of this country begins to focus on what Kenyans care and cry about.
Hustlers and dynasties?
No, that was started by Mutahi Ngunyi. My ideology and those like-minded leaders with me have never talked about the dynasty and hustlers. That is Mutahi Ngunyi, and please watch his YouTube videos. He started that. We've never talked about hustler versus dynasty, never. We only talk about, in terms of we say, when we talk about our wheelbarrow movement, as people say, it's a symbol of hard work. It's a symbol of enterprise. It's a symbol that we want to ensure that no matter what type of enterprise you're involved in, as a Kenyan, we must make sure that you're able to survive based on it. That is the ideology we want to change. And Kenya is not the first country to start doing it. If you watch what Joe Biden is talking about in America, he's talking about a bottom-up approach and not top trickle-down.
And yet you talk about the deputy president, who is still the deputy president of this republic, in office, able to do all these things for the last, since 2013.
No,
I think Sophia, one would look at that. It's a fair question.
It's a fair question, Sophia, and I can correct you. And I'm also asking you again, please go back and review all the news articles you've been doing. Because if you review them, you will realize between 2013 and 2017, a lot of the progress and what Jubilee promised happened. The building of the roads, which was supposed to trigger economic growth. There was the big four, manufacturing, universal healthcare, etc. But what happened? Since I think it was the 18th of March, 2018, the handshake happened, and we forgot about the big four. So, yes, all of us have had disappointments. I'm a member of Jubilee, and I have been disappointed. So, of course, when we are disappointed that the vehicle that we had thought was going to do what we had promised Kenyans,
but that's not correct.
Then we looked.
No, the laptops were promised and not. No. There are still many things. At least concede that it was not 100%.
No, but at least there was great progress. Look, the number of kilometers of road that was built between 2013 and 2017 is more than ever built in 50 years of independence. Okay. The connectivity to electricity between 2013 and 2017 is more than was ever done in 50 years of independence. All right. So there is actually tangible efforts that happened at that time. But we got into a crisis where we began to talk about building bridges and completely forgot about the development to Kenyans. And then we began to slide. We had promised 800,000 jobs. That did not happen. So those of us who are disappointed say we are going to try again using a different vehicle to make sure. And then we began to interrogate what is it that went wrong? That today the manufacturing didn't happen, universal healthcare did not happen, that the construction of the hospitals and what we wanted has not happened, the school expansions the way we wanted it, expanding the tax bracket and so on. Kenya has gotten into more debt than ever. So of course we regear ourselves and say we'll recommit ourselves as leaders and begin to develop a different ideology and different methodology of approaching the governance of this country. Today, yes, we have the country is, I think we are paying 1.2 trillion shillings in debt every year. That was not the case in the past. And therefore, we are recommitting ourselves that must change. And that's why we want to have a conversation.
And yet members of parliament have allowed that to happen.
And I think, and Sophia, on that issue of the...
Because that...
no, Sophia, I'll tell you about... And allow me just to say this on behalf of... I moved the motion to allow to increase the debt ceiling to 9 trillion shillings. But this is what happened. And in fact, today, because I knew you'd raise it, I actually have the PowerPoint presentation that was given to us by Ukuri Yatiani when he came before my committee. He promised us that at that time, the debt ceiling was based on 50% of the GDP. But using the GDP, which is a moving target, was a very ambiguous and unclear and very dangerous and lacks accountability type of method. So he said to us, let us put it on a fixed figure. And so, persuading us on that, he said, let us put value terms. Let us not put it on 50% of the GDP.
Okay,
and we
take
agreed.
Us through the entire presentation.
No, I'm not looking at the whole presentation.
Yes.
So at that time, he said, this is what we want to do. Allow me to fix the ceiling at 9 trillion shillings. If I fix it at 9 trillion shillings, I'll be able to go to multilateral and bilateral financial institutions overseas to be able to borrow money so that he can retire domestic loans. Because remember, when you borrow domestic loans, then what happens is you take away money that would have gone to the private sector and could have gone to small and medium and micro enterprises, which was a very logical thing. And many people in Parliament, Mheshimiwa Kainan included, agreed. Because as right-thinking Kenyans, we said, this is good, let's retire domestic loans. It's just the way if you have a lot of debt, what do? Go to the bank and reschedule.
So it's the Kenyans not understanding what this is about.
So that is what had happened at that time. Unfortunately, I remember before my committee, and Ukuri Yatiani is listening to me, said this to us. He promised us that once this is done, he is going to come back to us in 3 months' time and tell us how many domestic loans he has retired, which banks they were with, which ones he has borrowed, and how the rescheduling of the loans has happened. Okay. But before he could appear before my committee, I was kicked out of chairperson of that committee, and then they decided to have people who are more amenable to being to be compromised or who are not tough enough. They removed Kimani Ichung'wah from budget, and that is exactly what happened. So what they did is remove the leadership of people who
all right, you have made your point. You have made your point. Hold on, let me come.
I think we have made.
And so that is actually
you've made your point.
Happened, yes.
All right.
My good friend, my sister, he has made a number of sweeping statements. Let me first of all go back to the emergence of the current political formations. Kenya is a democracy. It's a reality that individuals are trying to create for themselves certain national political niche for their own survival. So when you see Ngilu, who is a first-term governor, Anyang' Nyong'o, and many other governors struggling to remain relevant, for me, I'll not be surprised, because that's the essence of politics. So what they are doing right now is to remain relevant in their backyards and also to remain relevant nationally. So whatever formation they are doing right now, whether they are doing it at the behest of any particular grouping or any serious party leader, I don't want to speculate. But certainly, as we approach the next general election, you will see the emergence of many different groups, and ultimately, that has been the characteristic of all the past elections. And this is one thing that we must be prepared for. So for me, I'm not surprised. You will see many other formations. Right. I will struggle to remain relevant as an individual member first, 2 within a group, and 3 within a party. And that is the essence of actually our democracy.
To the point that the president was distracted by the handshake from
that's the second thing. I think my good friend here, who has, I know she's a first-time member of parliament, but she has also served this country in different...
I'm a total public servant. I've served in all the arms of government.
With due respect, yes. If you, right now, along Mombasa Road, you can see the infrastructural boom right now. And recently, the UN voted Kenya as the 6th in the African continent on infrastructural development. And if you just see Nairobi, in another maybe 1 year, Nairobi will be completely different. You will not see the kind of jam that we are seeing right now.
Will that put food on Kenyan tables?
I think that's, you have talked about development. And I think what she has said is like when my good friend here was removed, or her colleagues were removed, they have stopped seeing all the good things that Jubilee has been doing. That's why right now they are saying Jubilee has only done good things up to until when they were in office. No, the country is still the same. The institutions are still the same.
Corruption is still the same.
Everything is still the same. The only thing that is different right now is they have changed. My friend and her colleagues have changed completely in the way they see things because of their political position.
No, do we have 1 trillion shillings debt?
Let me explain this. What the Jubilee Party has done and what the handshake has done right now is so commendable. If you look at the handshake, and I thought my friend here will mention, the handshake has brought Kenyans together. And in fact, this should be our desire to have one Kenya. The one Kenya actually we talk about should be a product of the handshake.
But it has opened another battleground with the deputy president.
It is politics. It is politics.
So then how, that's not unity.
Bringing Raila and Uhuru together doesn't bring Kenyans together.
No. It's politics. It's politics. But so the moment you have Raila and Uhuru,
that's Kenya for you.
No. Reading from the same script.
We are united.
That is the majority. No. That represents the majority of Kenya. It's a reality. If you are a Democrat, if you put...
But in 2013, it was Uhuru Kenyatta, hold on, I covered their coming together and what they told Kenyans, when we come together, Uhuru and Ruto, this is what we are calling reconciliation after 2007. So Raila was not there. So why did it work then?
You see, you need to understand. You need to do a bit of quantification.
We needed to get Kajwang
Look,
bring me in because
look at Raila.
I was told I really gave you some latitude.
You know there is fireworks here, so don't take too much time here.
Look at what Raila...
In 10 seconds, please.
Yeah, let me just say this.
Seconds.
Look at Raila and his base.
Yes.
Look at Uhuru and his base.
Okay.
Bring them together. That represents the majority of Kenyans.
But Uhuru and what I'm saying, and Ruto won an election.
There is a very important statement my friend here made. The debt ceiling, when she was the chair and she presided over, what she did was correct.
When she left?
When she left, what is being done is drama and it's wrong. And I think honestly, we have to be a bit honest.
Yeah. First of all, you have made comments there which I agree to and I won't repeat. But let me tell you, you know, politicians, they behave like this gender that was cheated by that devil. You know, men will deny, because they must deny. That is what we politicians do.
It wasn't me.
No, it wasn't me. Because, you see, the way my sister here is speaking, you would think that they were not in the general election that was just passed. And they voted, they went to an election not once in a year, twice. And elected these people who have been driving these things. Now, the debt is going crazy, and they are now saying that, the debt is now too much. We now need to petition the IMF. Let me tell you, when you spread a bed to lie on, all right, make that decision and lie on it. So I'm not very passionate about the issues that we are dealing with here, because look, these issues have been discussed properly. They were brought to us, the committee that is talking about, brought these things to the plenary, and we as members expressed ourselves. There is infrastructural need. We are dealing with COVID. We are dealing with, by the way, some of these two gentlemen may not understand where my people come from.
Lady and gentleman.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm very sorry.
You know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but the lady of they may not appreciate me coming from the slum. I know what it means in this COVID period of time to live in a city without a job, without a roof on you, and with the demanding economic pressures of the time. We are in a terrible situation. So when I see people running around that, we need to starve the government, we don't need loans, I do not know where these people are coming from.
May I ask this, and it will be a last point of conversation as our time is running out. The voice of opposition in this country, dead. That in fact it's within government that you're seeing some kind of, in Jubilee.
We took over the opposition.
Well, they took,
so holding government to account. So on one hand, here we are, we've seen what Kenyans have taken their voices to the IMF. But bottom line is, there is no opposition in Kenya. You initially were the people speaking for ordinary Mwananchi Wanjiko.
No, that's a good question, but it's also unfair.
Is it?
I think so, because the first thing, I think we need to understand, and this will take time, but we will come to that realization. First of all, in the dispensation, the presidential democracy that we are in, the whole of the parliament, whether Senate or National Assembly, whether you are a backbencher or you are a frontbencher, you must speak for your people, because you derive your power from the sovereign. And this is why everybody, whether you are in Jubilee or whether you are in ODM, you must oversight that government. And so this is very different from where we used to have in the Moi era, where there was backbenchers who must speak for the shadow. This is not the Westminster model. It is the American model. But having said that...
On NYS, we saw the opposition.
Yes,
this was the other day.
I know where you are.
Pressure until things moved.
I know, Sophie, I understand.
Gave.
You knew that when Kajwang spoke,
yes.
when ODM spoke, we spoke for the wrong things around. Yes, but we...
Then now why?
Yes,
speaking?
But some people also went to the opposition. We want to hear them.
So you
also
joined
speak.
government?
No.
You joined government?
No, we have just given them a break also to see if they have what it takes to speak for that government.
I think the role...
I think admit that you have shifted.
No, well, I must admit...
Yes.
I must admit that now I cannot blow the whistle which I blew on Uhuru Kenyatta. But I will still speak. You remember when there was the tax law debate, I was the only one who had the courtesy and the temerity to stand, even in spite of the fact that the whole coalition around me were saying different things. I stood for the people. We will always do these things. But I know what you are looking for. That voice which talks about Eurobond, let them also speak about it. Not everybody was not born to speak about it.
But we were not elected by Kenyans to pass the bar. You were not elected by Kenyans.
No, let these people also talk about that Eurobond. Then let them all talk about this IMF. It is not us. We must talk about everything.
Are you in Bunga to pass the buck when your electorate?
No, but I have two hats. You asked me about ODM.
Hold on.
You asked me about ODM
and
in our pursuit. Yes, well, I have two hats here. When I'm in National Assembly, I will stand for my Ruaraka people and the national people, and I have done that before.
Okay.
But it is clear when you want to. We also want them to go to streets.
All right,
Can they also go to street and defend the people?
So are you willing to get tear gas?
Can I see my sister here tomorrow on the street with placards on IMF that IMF must that debts must not be signed? I want to see her.
Since they handed over to you,
we have done it. So
why are we not seeing?
I'm glad he has admitted it, because let me tell you, history in this country.
But don't speak, do it. We want to see you.
And that's what we're doing. That's what I'm speaking today about. I think, if you remember, the fame that Raila Odinga had is that he spoke out on the things that were wrong in government. Since the handshake, he stopped. He went side. Eurobond, it was him. SGR, it was him. Everything. And his place in history for those things is secure. And we respect him for doing that. Unfortunately, and those of us who admired him are saddened, because that is the biggest role, and that is what Kenyans loved about him.
So now that you've taken over.
And now, of course, but remember also, all of us as parliamentarians, our job is not to go to bed with the executive, even if you're in Jubilee. Our job is to oversight the executive. That is our role and function as members of parliament.
Out of it.
Yes, and that is why, and when you hear me being vocal, despite being a member of Jubilee, if it is on the issue of the debt ceiling, I'm still continuing to speak about it. When you see me coming on national television with what was given to us by Ekur Etiani, and at that time, but now he's gone beyond what he said he was doing. He has not come back to Parliament, and he has not been summoned back to Parliament to come and explain. I am hoping that after we finish this executive-imposed recess that we are on at the moment, because that recess was not asked for by Parliament. It was asked for by the President. And that's why I call it an executive-imposed recess. I hope we can go back so that we can be able to debate this
I will ask this as I come to you, Honorable Ken. I'm coming to you.
Kajwang, you have seen, I have been vocal on any of those issues all the time.
Honorable
and
Boss,
this is not the first time I'm being vocal.
A question.
I have been vocal throughout my public life.
You have given credit to Honorable Odinga for what he did in standing for Kenyans, being that voice of opposition. You have also admitted you, as Tangatanga, have since taken over. So why or what gravitas is Tangatanga lacking that Raila had in actually bringing everything to a halt until action and something was done? So don't you have the same metal Raila would bring to the table?
I think if he's expecting me to carry placards on the street or to go and cause mayhem in the city until somebody shakes my hand, that is not our style, okay? And at least it's not my style.
Allow me to appreciate her.
You need to bring in Honorable Ken.
Allow me to appreciate her for this. I want to appreciate you and congratulate you for your new role in the opposition, but please take some notes from us so that you get to know how to play it.
I won't throw stones.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, yes.
I think there's certain thing that we are not appreciating. We need to reflect on our constitutional governance infrastructure. Parliament is not the only avenue. It's not the only institution that is expected to hold the government to account. In fact, what the National Assembly is expected to do.
You're going to pass the buck at this time, Kenyans?
Let me see. The National Assembly is expected to hold the national government to account. We have the Senate, which is expected also to hold the counties to account. But equally, we have independent institutions. That is why we have the control of budget, we have the Auditor General.
But tonight you're here as members in the House. And we understand that. But tonight they are not here. We are asking why you're not in your position as a member of Parliament. In all directness.
Let me explain this. The fact that we have a responsible opposition.
Which one?
Responsible opposition. Courtesy.
You gave up.
The fact that we have responsible opposition. The fact that we have responsible opposition, courtesy of the handshake, or courtesy of the formation of new political groups, clearly demonstrates that the government is working. Because if there were issues, these issues will have been pointed out. We have a vibrant media. I'm sure you know it. We have a vibrant fourth state. That is why in our own democratic space.
You're running away from the point.
No, I'd like to ask you about the caucuses.
Parliament works through committees. In the committees, you're not identified, you are appointed. The moment that you appointed nominates you to that particular committee, the party ceases having control over you. It's you now to function as an independent member of Parliament, play your role, play your oversight role, your legislative role, your budget-making process role, and that is what the member is expected to do. The fact that this particular Parliament might not be as aggressive.
The one in which you serve, I like how you describe it.
And the caucuses you have daily.
May not be as aggressive, meaning there are no two parliaments that are the same.
And I don't think Kenyans, with respect, I don't think Kenyans are looking for aggression and all of those things. What they're looking to hear is answers, to say, on this one we failed, on this one we could do better. So to say the other institutions, yes, they're there, but tonight I have 3 people who sit in Parliament.
This is what I'm trying to explain. This is what I'm trying to explain.
In a minute, our time is up.
It is not the responsibility of every member of Parliament to look for mistakes of the government. You are expected, where the government does a commendable job, you say the government has done a commendable job. Where the mistakes, you point out. The fact that right now is like what people are looking for are scandals, what people are looking for are monumental challenges to the government. That is not the issue. I think we may not have done very well as members of Parliament, in particular this Parliament. But equally, the fact that right now people are working together, the government is working, you can see the infrastructural boom.
The government is not working together. The deputy president and the president...
Give me a minute.
Let me give you
just give me a minute.
I need 30 seconds, please.
The issue is just the mongrel we have. We have insincere politicians. You were elected on a platform to do certain things. You have failed to do it. Halfway, you have decided now you are a hustler. Yes, you are a hustler, and you should now stand with those hustlers. Resign from this government and be an opposition so that you can stand for the benefit of the opposition. But you can't stand here. You are in that same government. You are a mongrel inside it, and you are not criticizing these people. And Sophie does not know. So who speaks for what? All right? I associate myself with Jubilee. All right? They who don't think that Jubilee is doing the correct thing should walk out there and speak on behalf of these people. Why are they hiding and they are just hydra-headed and you cannot tell who is what?
Hey, I'll give the final word to the lady in the house. Final word.
Okay, the final word is that there is nothing called a mongrel. We are part of Jubilee, but that doesn't stop me to be able to criticize.
I thought you are...
So opposition.
You know, this guy doesn't allow me to speak. I am a member of Jubilee as we speak. I have been criticizing certain things that have happened in the executive, which is the job that the people of Wasingishu elected me to. And I shall continue to do that. And no one can begrudge me that. You yourself have said you've been having caucuses daily. Those were your words. In fact, I want to find out what have you been discussing in these daily caucuses.
Okay.
Yeah? And I think TJ has said, and they've handed over the opposition to us, which I'm gladly happy to do. I am not saying that my principle is in the opposition, but I'm saying myself and other like-minded members of Parliament have taken the mantle to be able to point out when things have been wrong. On the issues of the debt ceiling, we shall continue to talk about it, and we need to come back and ensure that we curb it. We want to make sure that we have an office that deals with debt management because the National Treasury has failed in doing it. And there is, and that is what we are supposed to do as members of Parliament.
Gladys Boss.
We don't have to say anything. We don't have to be to agree with the presidency.
All right.
That is not our job.
Boss is the Uasin Gishu Woman Rep Tom Joseph Kajwang Raraka, Member of Parliament, and Dr. Aidan Kenand Eldas, MP. Thank you for a lively conversation this evening, and we will continue to look to Parliament and to hold you accountable because mulipatiwa kura. Kazi ni lazima mfanye. Even when you... Na bado mnataka. Mtaanza kuomba. We want to have a look at what the Standard newspaper. Remember, we told you earlier today, New Dawn. So you're going to be seeing that fresh, new feel, new look Standard newspaper from tomorrow. The bold newspaper, Kenya's bold newspapers. That's how it looks tomorrow. The first edition, Ruto, Oparanya and Secret Night Talks, part of what we talked about today. You also have the main story there. They took my kidney. One scan shows Ivan's 2 kidneys are intact, but in another, one is missing. Just what transpired, all the details are in your copy, and so much more, including sports news and more. So grab yourself a copy. As you can see, it's differently designed. You have the infographics there, and you have the stories standing out in a fashion that you will be able to follow through when you grab your copy. And you'll see a lot of my colleagues out and about early morning, perhaps being the ones to sell you your copy of the Standard newspaper. Check out Standard Digital as well. Fresh material of developing news as it happens. You'll catch it there first. I'm Sophia Wanuna on behalf of the entire team that made the show possible. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.